This advice came from my grandfather Ravi, and this is why I share it. In a small farming village lived an old man everyone called lazy. His name was Mohan. He rarely worked and spent most of his days sitting beneath a wide banyan tree on a broken chair, staring into the distance. He talked endlessly about plans he never began. One day, he said, he would open a shop. Another day, he dreamed of buying land and cows. He often claimed he would make money without ever getting tired. But that day never came. Over time, people stopped laughing at him and began to look at him with pity. Mohan's wife, Kamla, would sigh and say, "Life does not live on dreams. Life lives on work." Mohan only shrugged and replied, "Someday I will find a way." Years passed, and life grew harder. One night, his young grandson Aman, barefoot and thin, asked softly, "Grandpa, is there bread?" Kamla opened the cupboard. It was empty. Mohan looked at the floor, his throat tightening. He finally understood that dreams could not be eaten and ideas could not fill a stomach. That night, he did not sleep. The next morning, carrying shame in his heart, Mohan went to work in the fields as a day laborer. The work was cruel. The sun burned his skin, his back bent lower each day, and his hands grew sore and cracked. Sweat ran into his eyes as he whispered to himself, "This feels like a chain." At night, he returned home silent and exhausted. Kamla served beans and 2 small tortillas, never more. When Aman hugged him and asked what he earned that day, Mohan replied quietly, "It is little, but it is something." But the money never stayed. Illness took some, food took the rest. Only a few coins remained on the table. Week after week, his wages came and went. The roof still leaked, and hunger remained. One afternoon at the village shop, Mohan overheard men talking. "The secret is saving," they said. "If you save, you are safe." Those words stayed with him. That night, he found a large glass jar and hid it under the bed. Each week, after buying only the bare minimum, he dropped a few coins inside. The sound made him smile. It felt like hope. One day, Aman found the jar and asked, "What is this, Grandpa?" Mohan smiled proudly and said, "Our tomorrow." Saving was difficult. He did not buy new shoes even when the old ones broke. Food became less. Plates were never full. Finally, Kamla asked, "What good is saving if we stay hungry?" Mohan answered softly, "Someday you will understand." Months passed, and the jar slowly filled. To Mohan, it looked like safety. One morning, they went to the market. Mohan placed the money on the table and said, "I want 3 sacks of corn." The seller counted and shook his head. "Prices have gone up," he said. "This will buy 1 sack and half." Mohan froze. "Money loses value," the seller added simply. That night, Mohan poured the coins onto the table and counted them again and again. They never grew. When Aman asked, "So what is the use of saving, Grandpa?" Mohan had no answer. Days grew darker. Mohan grew weaker. Food was never enough, and hope felt far away. One morning, sitting on the porch, he watched neighbors pass by. One carried eggs, another bottles of milk. They walked calmly, without fear. Suddenly, Mohan remembered something Aman once said. "What if we buy chickens?" This time, Mohan listened. He used the last of the saved money to buy a few thin chickens. When he released them into the yard, Aman laughed and ran after them, calling it their egg factory. At first, they collected only 1 or 2 eggs a day. They ate some and sold some. With the money, they bought another chicken. Mohan began writing everything down in a small notebook. Every egg mattered. Soon, the yard was full of noise, and neighbors came to buy eggs. For the first time, Mohan felt good about working. One afternoon, Holding an egg in his hand, he said to Aman, "This is worth more than a jar of money. It feeds us, it grows, it does not lose value." Aman hugged him and smiled. "So you are not lazy anymore?" Mohan's eyes filled with tears as he replied, "No, my child, I finally learned." The jar stayed forgotten under the bed. Whenever people spoke about saving money, Mohan pointed to his chickens and said, "Saving money is like holding water in your hands. It always slips away. Make it work, even if you start small." And that is how the man once called lazy learned the greatest truth of his life. Never save money, make it grow.